I have a question for both the Amazing Atheist and Tool Time. Compared to what? What are you comparing the human race to? We have a sample size of one. Um, the Amazing Atheist argument didn't make any sense. That these series of videos about how bad the human race is, mainly because we have nothing to compare the human race to. What compared to what you think they should be? Sorry, we haven't lived up to your expectations. That's sarcasm because I don't think you mean that. I just don't know what you're comparing humans to. What, the Vulcans? As far as I'm aware, we have no other sentient beings to compare humans to. So I don't even know how either of you're like on the same. You're two sides of the same coin. That's wrong on this issue. I don't mean as people. You're two sides of the. I mean on this issue. It doesn't matter if the Amazing Atheist could point out that every single human being on Earth wants to stab babies. For all we know, there could be a sentient race out there where every single human or sentient being wants to stab 3 babies and then eat them. We don't know. We have no comparison. We have. It seems absurd that you two, either of you two, could make any statement about the where the human race is. Well, I can't even say compared to. You haven't explained where your. I mean, you provided evidence. You provided evidence for your argument, like the bread thing. Tool time, dude. I'm just informing you. Tool time. The guy who delivers your bread doesn't give a shit about you. He's trying to make money so that he can put bread on the table. Not because he did it with the goodness. I don't know what you meant by that. That was weird. But the rest of your video wasn't as weird as that. It wasn't bad or anything. It was you had the same problem Amazing Atheist had. What are you comparing us to? Uh, here's something. We're neither good or bad because those words have no meaning when you only have one of a thing. Like if you have one diamond in the entire universe and it has a crack down it, is that a good diamond? Is that a bad diamond? And is it your place to decide which one it is? And I don't mean your place as in how dare you. I mean your place as in how could you? How are you able to come to any logical conclusion? It would be like trying to compare, like how religious people compare fictional things to other fictional things. We have nothing to compare. You don't have an actual argument. The human race is neither good nor bad because we can't say what it is until we have some sort of thing to measure it against. Now, you might say the human race is or is not doing what you think they should be doing at any given time. You might get a warm, fuzzy feeling when the guy you ordered Chinese food gives you your Chinese food tool time. I don't know what your point with the bread was. That was weird. But, he's doing it for money. He's not doing it for out of the goodness of his heart. But I don't know. I guess so. I guess this video is more of a question to both Amazing Atheist and to Tool Time. Compared to what? That's my question. Compared to what? Compared to the silly fantasies of Bronze Age or even any age in the past of what they thought we should be at this point, compared to our silly notions of a dystopian future. We don't know what the future is going to be like. Oh, and to answer your question, TJ, about what'll happen when people can make nukes in their garage, a lot of people are going to get blown the fuck up. No, that's it. The same as any other weapon that is so much more powerful than past weapons, like guns. Yeah, I know nukes can blow up the world, but you're forgetting that you've already established that we're talking about a suitcase nuke and not global nuclear missiles. So I'm just going by your premise. What'll happen is someone will detonate the nuke. It'll kill a lot of people. We'll all mourn and try to help the victims, and then we'll move on. Or it'll wipe us out. Compared to what? How do we know we didn't outlive every other sentient being? But I don't think it's gonna wipe. I don't think a few dudes with a suitcase nuke. It's gonna do a lot of damage, and it's gonna cause a major change in the way people think, perhaps, if this even occurs. Um, of course, it's going to occur at some point, but the question is, does it happen within 100 years? Does it happen within 1,000 years? Um, and I know you're saying you can't imagine it not happening within 1,000 years. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I imagine that's what you might say. How do you know? What are you based on what? We've never had a weapon that destroys the user as the creator almost for certain as well. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just don't understand. I mean, I'm more perplexed with the Amazing Atheist video than I am with Tool Times, to be honest. I think maybe Tool Time gets what I'm saying a little bit more, because it sounded like you were going at that a little bit, but then you went off into, you seem to be saying the human race was good. What does that even mean? What does it mean that the human race is good? What, God likes us a lot? Like, we could be empathetic, we could be compassionate, and we can define those as good because they are what you and I personally want. But the human race is the human race. It just is. We don't. We could change. We could stay the same. Either one could happen because there's nothing that, as far as I'm aware, there is no plan. There are no rules. There is nothing supernatural guiding us. Again, as far as I know. So that means all bets are off. We can only make basic predictions when we have enough data. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that neither TJ. Actually, this is more towards TJ, because Tool Time was more just reacting to your video. I don't think you know of other sentient races or have the. I don't even know. I was going to say historical and scientific expertise, but what kind of historical and scientific expertise could provide a measuring what do you call it, a frame of reference to how good the human race is? I don't know what field of science that would be. We don't have that because we don't have other species. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I think both of you are wrong because your premise is wrong. It's like, oh, it's like when Christians. What's an example? Where do we go when we die? When Christians say that, not understanding that what you're trying to say is that just because you can put a sentence together in a way that makes sense grammatically doesn't mean it makes sense. Where do we go? Well, we don't go anywhere, or we stop functioning. That's just a confusion in how the human mind thinks. Is the human race good or bad? The human race is what the human race is. There are people in it that are good, and there are people in it that are bad. The only reason we can even make that statement is because we have other people to compare those people to. Societal health. We can only make that statement because we know what a society where people are eating each other looks like, where the absolute worst thing could occur. We know what that looks like. That's the only way we. So, yeah, that's all. I'm not gonna go on about it any longer. Oh, by the way, grappling ignorance. Your video was excellent. Um, it said about half the things I was gonna say. That's why all I harped on about was the comparison thing, because you pretty much said everything I could ever think to say and more in that video. Um, so that's yeah. All right. Okay. Until my next video, try to make the world a better place, and I will too.